Okay, this quick tutorial is on the easier part of the email database, which is the delete process. That is pretty much simply a find, search, and destroy process. So, much like in the ads, where you find your weekly deletes is in our Teams folder, the same spot in that dealer persona email CSV, and it's deleted dealers. So we'll click that and we will open that. It will, yep, popped up over my open other window. So we'll show it here a second. Okay, so like I said, they're typically it's one-to-one, not exactly person for person, but usually if there's 8 ads, there's 8 deletes. And sure enough, this week there's 8 ads and 8 deletes. So really what you're going to want is first name, last name. Sometimes you can search via email address as well. And then you'll find some interesting things here. So if you recall, actually, I'm going to pull it up here because I have it. We have an Murphy Cobble added as architectural walls to Fluid Interiors. That was an ad and it was a legit ad. But down here we have a Murphy Coble because they probably misspelled his name. So that can happen sometimes too. So there's a good chance that we may not find this one when we do our deletes, but sometimes as you get to kind of know the database a little bit, you'll get to a little bit of a sense for maybe they put something in wrong and they realized it and they deleted it. Sometimes the changes in the ads and the deletes all meld together. So it's a pretty imperfect science, but typically the deletes are pretty simple. So again, the first thing that we'll do is we'll go find that deleted dealers. Now, the other thing that we do is every week, typically every week, I would say probably 48 out of 52 weeks, we send our My Haworth e-newsletter Monday morning. We'll work together on that. Usually we build that late on Friday, and then we schedule it for early Monday morning. So it goes out like 7 a.m. Monday or whatever. That email will actually return out of office notifications or bounce notifications directly to us in our FDC email box. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you will also have access to the FDC or the Field Dealer Communications email box, and that's down here. So we get lots of different things in here. But what we're going to do spotlight is, if you can see here, this is from this week, Monday. So in a general typical week, if it's a holiday week, it can be over 300. On a typical week, it's around 2 to 250. You get 250 bounces. And usually those bounces are, Joe is out of the office, I'm on vacation. Jenny's out sick. You know, Lisa's on maternity leave. So you kind of one by one sift through those. Most typically I do them because I get in early on Monday and first thing Monday, I just zap them out. But what I leave there are the ones that I see as bounces because they're no longer there. So the first thing that I do is I pull up that delete list, but then I also pull up the FDC email box and look for the deletes here. So interestingly, let's just do a quick check. Cassidy, Crystal, Jackie, Sherilyn. Sherilyn is actually a Haworth person. So if we go look at our deleted dealers list, none of those match up, and that's pretty common. Sometimes we maybe continue somehow, some way to send the emails through. Sometimes what happens is the dealers don't actually delete the person from their database for a period of time because they're afraid of losing their contacts or whatever the case may be. But when we get an out of office this way, or not an out of office, but when we get a no longer employed with bounce, that's a signal to us to take them out of our database because we don't want to send them emails anymore. If the dealer still keeps them in the DAT in their database for a period of time, that's fine, but at least now we're cutting them out. So in this case, again, we're going to go to HubSpot. And we're going to go to CRM, click the arrow, go to contacts. And again, a second window is an awesome thing for this. And I just one by one it, just like we did for the ads. So Cassidy, Johns, and sometimes they're already deleted, which is a good thing. So we see Cassidy in there. Sometimes it's also obvious because you'll start to see that their emails have bounced or that the email's not deliverable or whatever. So if you set this to activities, you can, as a hint, you can kind of see what's going on with them. This person, not a very good email reader. Not that that really necessarily matters, but so the delete process is pretty simple. Once you're in the page, you just go to Actions up here at the top, Delete. I always just leave it at restorable delete just in case we accidentally deleted somebody or we're like, oh shoot, that person, the dealer deleted them accidentally and we need to put them back. So I leave them as restorable. It gives us 90 days just in case, but it does cut them out of our database from sending. You just do a delete contact, voila, they're gone. So I work through the ones in our email list first. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two, sometimes there's none. This week is a little bit of a heavier work week. There's 5. So Crystal Weber was the second one. And you can kind of, usually they'll say the dealer name too, just in case there's multiples of a person's name. Those are a little bit more uncommon names, I would say. But so let's look up Crystal Weber. Oh, and actually I think she had 1B, so it's very exact sometimes. Yep, so King. So we're going to click Crystal. And then she doesn't appear to be having gotten a whole lot of email anyway. So we're going to go ahead and Actions, delete, and Crystal is gone. So then we work through that whole process for this inbox, which in this case, this week again, was actually 6. Now, one little nuance that I'll show you real quick, because this does matter, is Sherilyn Stein. So Sherilyn is a Hayworth person. So that's a little bit different. That requires us to also take her out of another spot. So first we're going to do is we're going to go find Sherilyn in HubSpot. So we'll take care of all the HubSpot stuff first. So we'll do Sherilyn. So we're going to find Sherilyn. And we are going to delete her record. Then we're going to delete her. Now, when it's a field salesperson in particular, there's one other place that you need to take them out of, because field sales is not like dealers, meaning dealers, even though the process has some kinks in it and is not perfect, the dealers get put into a database, which gets hit to our sales management tool called Vine, which then goes up to HubSpot. And then you're just kind of fixing the broken links in there when you're doing the ads and or changes. Field salespeople do not act the same way. Field salespeople, we add manually. So how you find the field sales list is if you go back into our team site, go back up here to general. So in this email and database file, you're going to want to click that. Master email list is where we keep it. And then you can see the last time I modified it was July 19th. So the first thing I do is if I'm going to change it, I go in here and I click the 3 dots and I rename it and I change the date. So today is the 26th. That tells me that I have a more recent file update. So we're going to rename that. And then we're going to open it. Takes a minute. It's a fairly decently sized list. And so you're going to want to make sure you're over here. You can see kind of 4 things across the bottom. And I talked in the ads process about how this is kind of the old way that we used to do it. So it was a very manual process of how we entered everything. That's why there's 4 different tabs here at the bottom. So you always want to be in the input file. I currently have it sorted for all the Hayworth people. So the majority of these people in this list are Hayworth email addresses. So whether it's field sales, other Hayworth like marketing, and so on and so forth. So Sherilyn should be pretty quick to find because it's alphabetized, or you can do a find up here to find her. So Sherilyn Stein is right here in 483. So we're just going to highlight that record. We're going to right click and we're going to delete. Then what you need to do is go over here to the FDC import, HubSpot import, and click in that list. Don't worry about the date name in there. And then you're going to scroll up and find where she would have been there, and you see the reference, because this particular sheet in this in this overall file is what we use to actually push into HubSpot. So we want to make sure we go into 483 where the ref file is. We right click it, we delete it. And then the next step is to make sure that this gets updated so that Sherilyn is completely wiped out. And the way that you do that, so let's just say you've made your changes, any other tweaks. Hayworth people do not change nearly as often as dealers. And this would be a similar process, honestly, for ads. So once you're over here, again, you're in this tab, you're going to go to File, Save a Copy. You can keep the name the same. When you save the copy, you need to go over here to the file type and you need to change it to CSV UTF-8 or a .csv file. So don't just hit save because that's going to actually throw it in our team site, which is a little harder to upload. So then my next step that I do is I go to Browse and I put it on my desktop, and you'll see why in a second. So we're going to save that file, and then you can just hit got it and OK. And then what I make sure that I do is I just close this file. And here's why, is because now if you were to go, oh, like I had another change and I made a change, you're actually changing it in this CSV file separately, and it's not changing in our master file. So once you made all your changes, then save it to your desktop, then just close it. And you don't have to save it because it's already saved. I mean, you can, and I will just to be safe, but so now it's wiped out. So now we're going to go back into HubSpot. Sorry, I'm kind of taking you around different spots. But this way I showed you how to do a basic delete and then how to do a delete off of our master database record. So in this case, what we're going to do, because we made a list change, we didn't add anybody to this list, but we took somebody out and we want to make sure that somehow Sherilyn doesn't show back up in the database again. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to go to import. So you want to be in the contacts section, which just happened to be where we were. You want to go to import, start an import, import file from computer, then go down here and click next, contacts, then click next. Then you can choose your file, and this is why you want to put it on your desktop because it's really hard to navigate to Teams through your files. So I'll go over here to my desktop. It was master adds and deletes, .csv. Hit open. And then you don't have to do anything else on this page. Click next. And then this just checks all those rows. So as a little bit of a flashback, like when you're doing your ads, the things that we were looking at in the ads, those are your contact properties. So first name, last name, email, job title, all those types of things. That's what HubSpot is looking for. If you get some sort of an error, we can look at that together if you ever do, but it'll tell you if there's an error. But in this case, everything was imported correctly and it looks good. So you scroll down just to make sure you get all green check marks. Don't have to do anything up here, then just click next. And then this is kind of a check the box, check the box, check the box. Then kind of your verification is you actually just have to type that number that you see in the box. So it's 574. So we're going to import and set 574 contacts, finish our import. And it should be pretty quick because it's a small one. And we really didn't obviously import anybody. We just deleted somebody. The reason why it said 574, but there's 554 imported rows is because there's actually only 554 rows that have content in them. The other 20 are kind of ready to take on new content. So that's just a little bit of a nuance, but get the green check mark so we're good to go. So Sherilyn is completely out. Now, typically what I would do is I go through my deletes and then I would do my field sales or my Hayworth members after the fact. Whether they're ads or deletes, just because then you can do the master database once. So when you're messing around in that database, it's easier to do kind of everything at one time, your ads, your changes, your deletes, and then do that upload. But for the sake of showing you how to do it, I did it this way today. So again, you're going through your deletes, you're just looking through contacts, you're searching for them, you're deleting them, restorable delete, pretty simple. If it's a Hayworth member or if it's somebody that sits in the little master database that we also keep, which is typically Hayworth members, then you're going to want to go through the process of actually adding, updating that, which is what I just showed you in adding that top spot.